Hey YouTube! In this video I want to talk about my experience with ULTRAWORKING and how it's really helping me to focus having quit my corporate job about 2 months ago. So the short version of what is ULTRAWORKING is basically it's a series of shared co-working based Pomodoros with some structure around it to help you know what you're working on and focus. That's the short version. I'll explain the long version by going through my day-to-day experience with ULTRAWORKING and calling out some key features of it that I really like and use that to illustrate what the whole thing's about. So the first thing I do is schedule a block of time, which for me is about 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. most days when I'm free. And that's my ULTRAWORKING slot in the diary. And I know that I'll be doing a lot of work in that time to be quite focused. And the reason is as follows. So the first thing is I join at 9 o'clock because that's when the work gym, as they call it, opens. So every 2 hours on US East Coast time, you can join the group. So I join at 9 a.m. UK time because we're 5 hours ahead. The next thing is I join during a break. And that means that I join a Zoom room where there are people who I get to know day in, day out, always there at the same times. And there's a moderator talking. And the moderator is a really important role in ULTRAWORKING because they kind of set the culture, they set the tone, and they guide everyone through what needs to be done as part of the ULTRAWORKING process. And this is what that process is. So the first thing you do is you say, okay, I have 4 hours ahead of me, which is 6 cycles, which I'll come on to. In this block of 4 hours, I want to achieve these things. I'm going to work on this project. I'll know it'll be finished when it looks like this. Here are some of the things that might get in the way. Is this thing ambiguous or concrete, and that kind of thing. So it helps you really define the thing that you're working on, which for me really helps get my brain into a working kind of mode. And that's great for me because without that, I can get a little bit blurry about what I'm doing and end up on Twitter or end up just reading. But kind of setting the intention that I'm going to work on these things really helps. So that's the meta frame, if you like, for the 4 hours. Now at 9:10, we enter a half hour work cycle. And that's the overall shape of the session as well. So half hour on, 10 minutes off. Half hour on, 10 minutes off. And for 4 hours, that works out to 6 cycles. So when you start a cycle, you again go through one of those intention setting exercises. So of my intention for the 6 cycles, what's my intention for the first cycle? What do I want to get done in this cycle? And again, you have very similar questions around what do I want to get done, what does it look like when it's finished, how will I know that, what kind of distractions might come up and that kind of thing. And crucially as well, you rate your energy and morale on a scale of low, medium, high for each. And this all goes in the app, it's called Headquarters, it's really good. You can also do it on a spreadsheet separately. So you've done that intention setting, and then the moderator says, okay, cycle on, and you start working. And then for half an hour, you just do the thing you said you would do. Now, some of the magic behind this is you're also in a Zoom room, and you can see everyone in gallery mode working. So it's kind of like you have that peer accountability or the collaborative spirit somehow that makes it much easier to focus. And you know that they can see you as well. So what I often do is I'll have my work in front of me, and I'll have my iPad with the sidecar so I can just see everyone working over there. So they can all see me directly from the webcam, but I can see them down there. So then at the end of the half hour, the moderator says, okay, cycle off, stop working, and you have a couple of minutes to review what you just did. So did I finish my task? What came up? What distractions were there? That kind of thing. And you also think how you can improve for the next cycle. And this again really helps to say, okay, well, actually I did get a bit distracted. I was on Twitter a bit. I found this thing quite ambiguous. And because they're such short cycles, it really lets you reorient yourself if you get a bit stuck. So if you're thinking like, okay, well, I was a bit distracted there because I don't quite know what I'm doing, this is too ambiguous. Well, for the next session, I need to break this down even further and reconceptualize what I think this task is. And if it weren't for those quick feedback iteration cycles, then you can very easily get stuck in this, like, I don't know what I'm doing mode and find yourself 2 hours later feeling like, oh, that wasn't very productive. I wish I'd changed my tack earlier. This gives you the structure to change approach as you need to, as you go along, which I think is really helpful for me. Something else that really works well is the different kinds of breaks. So for example, the moderator will do a moderator break where they just talk about something. They'll do a different kind of break called a pace check, which I think is there to catch people who are just doing like 20 cycles or something ridiculous. So like, how long have you been on? Should you take a break? Anything you should change about your setup or your approach? And how's your energy and morale doing? And the moderators are really good. They'll often just say like, yeah, well, one thing I recommend if you're really a bit low energy is X, Y, and Z. And it's just a nice kind of friendly, convivial atmosphere where you feel like you're all in a kind of working journey together that's very non-coercive, which I like a lot as well. And then finally, there's also a speaker break, which is where someone from the community, someone from the Zoom room who's taking part in ultra working, goes up and talks about something they're working on, some kind of perspective they want to share, and often the moderator will kind of gently, not pick someone, but there'll be something in the chat that's interesting, and then the moderator will say like, hey, you want to talk about that in the speaker session? And that's kind of cool. At that point, you get a nice sense of who else is here in the room with me. So all of this together creates a really powerful frame. And I should say at the end of the working session, actually, you review the last 6 hours. So you have met a block of six cycles, define the block, 6 cycles, each has a planning and review. End of this 4 hours, 6 cycles, has, or however you want to do, has a review of the entire block. And that to me is a really good container for working. And the fact that it's in a co-working space, even on Zoom, just brings a level of accountability and collaborativeness that makes it easier to drop into a flow state reliably every single time. All of these things together mean that I now know when I block out 9 till 1 every day if I want to, I will get a lot of stuff done in that time. Because I've learned that if I have that frame in place, it helps guide me into a flow state. Now, yes, you can do all these things by yourself, and the app allows for that, and you can just copy paste the questions if you want. But there is something magical about that container that you can kind of step into and treat a little bit sacredly. And it's just nice seeing the same faces and names. I've only been going for a couple of weeks, but already I know like, oh yeah, that guy, oh yeah, that person. Like I know who these people are. And particularly after a year of lockdown, it's just nice seeing kind of familiar, friendly work type people. We're not colleagues, we're just people who are working and creating a space for each other. So that's ultra working. I'm really enjoying it so far. Have a go. I'm not shilling, but it's something that's been working for me. So thanks for watching and see you next time.